welcome back to Wheeler Neela.
In today's video, I'm on holiday and trying to catch fish in the Mediterranean. Looking back on it, I would have done a lot of things differently, so in this video, I'm going to let you into what I've learned. Preparing for the trip, I tied some pretty standard weight rigs, and remembering that sometimes jigging the bait could be effective, I brought along a great big heavy jig hook. The first day was a challenge. I went down to a pier and managed to hook 3 fish, but I lost all 3. In the water, I noticed something was floating. It looked sort of like seaweed, but not quite. So picking it up out the water, I realized it was a type of fish. From that, I decided to use slightly smaller hooks and also make them barbed. That way, more fish would be able to get the hook in the mouth, and the barb would mean there's less chance of them coming off. The next day, I was fishing off rocks in a bay, and this time I had some success. Within 2 minutes, I caught my first fish of the trip. This fish is a painted comber. As you can see, the tip moves quite a lot, so I find that this isn't always the best way to determine whether you're getting a bite or not. What I like to do is to put a finger on my line, and this helps me to feel any bites I get. They will come as quick, sharp taps. I managed to catch another 2 fish, a second painted comber, and also a sea bream. Back at the holiday apartment, I made a new rig called a drop shot rig. To tie it, just tie the hook in the middle of a long length of line, leaving a very long tag end. After that, tie a loop in the tag end, and with this loop, attach a weight to the line. The next day I decided, instead of trying to fish off the jetty again, I would try to fish off some rock. The bait that I use through the entire trip is prawns. The day started slowly, but after moving around a bit, I started to get bites. The reason I prefer to fish off piers is because there's less chance of getting snagged. When I'm fishing off rocks, I look for paler patches that indicate that the bottom is cleaner. It could be made of sand or small stones, but because it's pale, I know there's no seaweed. But even over pale patches, you can still sometimes get snagged, and I got snagged 2 or 3 times just that day. And unfortunately, I didn't catch anything that day. On day 4, I began fishing off rocks, but then quickly decided to move to fish on the pier again. My decision was rewarded with a quick fish, another painted comber. Although I continued to fish, that was the only fish I caught all day. The last day, I headed down to the pier as normal. I was getting hundreds of bites from tiny fish, but I wasn't able to hook a single one. A decision was made, and I decided to move to a different pier, one that I'd fished at long ago. But when we got there, the pier itself was under construction, meaning that I had to fish around rocks and other places near the pier. And the same small fish were there, giving me hundreds of bites, but I knew there wasn't a single chance of me hooking even one of them. And so that sums up my trip. I didn't catch as many fish as I'd hoped to, but I still learned a lot from it. I learned to use barbed hooks to help the fish stay on longer. I learned how to use a drop shot rig, which I hadn't used before. I also learned to experiment by sometimes reeling in, sometimes leaving the bait still. different fish will want the bait presented differently on the different days. What I wished I had done is tried a greater variety of spots instead of fishing at the same ones day after day. But I still learnt a lot from this trip, and I hope you have too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.